The Prince of Peace. That's what the angel said when he visited me in my dreams. Can I tell you something? I wasn't feeling peaceful. In fact, there was no peace in my heart at all. It was bad enough that I was getting married. It was a big change. I wasn't sure I was ready, although everyone told me it was time. I could stay the most eligible bachelor forever. But marrying Mary, she was beautiful to be sure. She was strong, courageous, a bit of a wildfire if you know what I mean. I was worried about how she would cope in our little quiet family, and even more, how I would cope if she got bored. But then she came to me after we were engaged, and she told me that she was pregnant. I can't even describe how I felt. Was I angry? Yeah, furious actually. After waiting for the right woman for so long, I'd gotten engaged to well, that's what I thought then. She tried to explain to me about an angel and God's Son, the Messiah, but I couldn't listen. All I could think of was how angry her parents would be at me, how the angry mobs could chase her down and kill her for bringing disrepute to our town. Mary, you need to get away from here, I said to her, interrupting her tale about her cousin being pregnant. Yes, go to her, stay there a while we make plans. The plans I was actually making was how I could divorce her while she's away. So she packed up her things and headed out. Her father furiously loaded the wagon and away she went. Her mother refused to even speak to her. No one believed her, not even me. How ashamed I feel now about that. Poor Mary, on her own, dealing with the rejection of everyone who should have loved her, and she did nothing wrong. She simply obeyed God. I came to the realization myself a little later in the piece. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't work. I couldn't eat. I was anxious. Troubles were coming. No way to avoid them. My heart was full of fear and anger. My body was sick. My head was spinning so much that I thought I was going to be sick. So I had to take time off work to try and rest, even if I couldn't sleep. And it was then I was going over my plans to divorce Mary when I heard a breath, a sigh, a whisper. Take her as your wife. Was I going insane? Had my brain malfunctioned? But it came again. Take her as your wife. I looked around the room and there was no one. Then there was someone. A light, a man, a being, and he spoke to me. This baby is the Son of God. You are to take Mary as your wife, and you are to raise the child as your own. His name is to be called Jesus, and he will save people from their sins. And then it was gone, just as it had came. Jesus, it means God's salvation. The baby is God's salvation. The Messiah, just as Mary had said. I remember that feeling when I had realized I had been looking at everything from the wrong perspective. I'd been looking at the situation from my own perspective, from the impact that it would have on me. But I needed to look at it from God's perspective. This is God's solution to our world's problem. This is the long-promised, long-awaited Messiah. This is Emmanuel, God with us. The baby is God with us. Mary, I knew it was time to take her as my wife, and I knew despite the opposition that everything would be all right. I laid back down, closed my eyes, and fell into a deep and peaceful sleep. And it was all right. I mean, there were challenges, like the trip to Bethlehem, like being a midwife for the first time, like having to deal with the way that everyone would be treating us. It was hard and it was challenging. But you know, from that moment, I realized God was with us. I had peace. Now when troubles come, I do get tempted to be anxious, but then I realize God's gift of peace through his Son is not just a one-time thing. God continues to give me peace as I continue to trust him with my worries. God is with us. God is with you On the first Christmas, God gave us a gift of peace through a tiny baby, and for each of us to unwrap. I hope you can experience his gift of peace today.